I'm with an amazing woman. She reassures me all the time, tells me how much she loves me. I feel loved, but whenever she can't reply or takes a while to respond, I spiral. I overthink and doubt. Then when we talk again, I'm calm. I self-soothe with breathing and tell myself that I'm overreacting. It helps, but I still feel my blood pressure go up. My mind wanders. It's a never-ending battle of stress. Welcome to the Anxious Insecure podcast. I'm Yula, the Anxious Attachment Style Coach. I actually offered now my nearly 1,000 email subscribers. Thank you so much for being on my email list. And a chance to get free email coaching right here on my podcast. So if you want that too, simply reply to any of my emails. If you're one of my 1,000 subscribers, or if you want to get on my email list, simply check out the attachment library linked underneath the YouTube video or in the show notes, and check out any of my free resources which will get you onto the email list. Like there are attachment quizzes and worksheets, guides, prompts, and so on. So this episode is split into two main sections today. First, we want to understand really the patterns, what's actually going on here. And second of all, we want to create an action plan, because only actions create results. Disclaimer, I'm not a therapist or doctor. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to diagnose, treat, or heal any mental health condition. If you're in an abusive relationship or dealing with severe mental health challenges, always seek professional advice. First, I want to share with you, this is such a common experience. I've been there, and so many of my clients been there as well, that they are with a very loving, reassuring partner, and still your body goes into this panic mode when there's space, maybe silence, when there's no reply, and also there's nothing wrong with you. Your body is not reacting to what's actually happening now. Your body is reacting to what was happening then, back in the past. Just quickly grab a cup with ice water, because today I'm feeling a little bit migraine-y, so it helps me to talk a bit easier. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with you. It's just simply that you feel very dysregulated. You have stuck emotions inside you that have connected space and maybe inconsistency or silence with danger. So you're trying to survive something that felt unsafe once before in your past. And even now, when things are actually safe, your body still doesn't know this yet. So let's talk more about the awareness piece, because once we understand what's happening in our body, in our mind, then we can understand, okay, what we can do to shift into more secure, regulated place, and to stop the spiral and to feel more, emotionally safe. First, why do we spiral and why do we overthink so much and feel so unsafe? So silence or a pause between texts might seem tiny, this tiny thing to other people who are not anxious attached might not understand us. But, for us, someone who has an anxious attachment style perhaps, that pause becomes this huge black hole, and your mind tries to fill the gaps with fear of what could this mean. You might make it mean something bad about maybe I annoyed her, maybe she's losing interest in me, maybe she's doing something I don't know else. I don't want to put more things into your mind. Maybe I'm too much, maybe I'm not good enough. And usually it's based on three core categories of limiting beliefs and core wounds. Like usually you're making it something mean about emotionally safety, you're not safe. Usually you're making it mean something about your self-worth, that you're not good enough, too much, or that you're not worthy of love. And the third thing that we're usually making it mean that we are not capable. We're not capable of handling emotions, strong emotions, uncomfortable emotions that come with it. Maybe you're fearing that eventually she might leave you, or maybe right now she's betraying you and that she's not into you anymore, and eventually it will lead to a breakup, and that emotion, it will be too painful. It might lead to us being alone, and being alone is unbearable and it feels unsafe. And I bet you're understanding where I'm coming from, because these are exactly the fears I used to have. And it always boils down to these three core emotional wounds. But here's the thing, like your body's not reacting to the delayed reply from your partner. You're reacting to every moment in your past when love disappeared without a warning. That's why it feels so intense now, because actually you're being transferred back to that moment. Like your body actually feels the same kind of emotions like when you were a kid or when you were a baby, you are in the same nervous system state. So sometimes, when you see adult people yelling at each other outside or are stuck in traffic and they have this out-of-body experience, and where you think, why is someone getting so aggressive when there's just things you can't control? It's because literally it puts them into the same nervous system state as when they were a kid, for example. That's why it feels so intense. And it's not her silence that's the problem, it's your old wound screaming to be noticed. And so we need to realize it's actually not about her. It's not about the thing right now. It's not about, our partners usually. It's not about the circumstance. It's really about our old things, our stuff. That's the good news, because we can focus on our past and our beliefs, our emotions, and work on ourselves. That's really great news. Let's talk about this a little bit more so I can give you some examples of what I actually mean. So let's talk about the past. The emotional trigger you're experiencing now was created a long time ago. When you were small, for example, and someone important stopped responding to you, or when your love felt inconsistent. That's why now inconsistency might be a trigger for you, or when you were left waiting or confused or had to guess what someone might have felt. So the same panic in your chest right now is being triggered because of the thing in the past. It's the exact same feeling your younger self had when connection used to disappear. Maybe someone was physically present but emotionally checked out. Maybe love was warm one moment and cold the next, and you had to walk on eggshells. Maybe you had to earn love by being very helpful, easy, or silent because you didn't want to make your mom upset, or you didn't want to be yet too hard on her because she was already overwhelmed or busy, or maybe no one ever explained why they left the room, why the mood shifted, or why they shut down. Because as kids we take everything personal. You can't understand the circumstances around this. It's not your fault. Maybe you learned that love means waiting in anxiety and not resting in safety. So when your partner now doesn't reply for a few hours, your nervous system basically says, I know this. This is where love maybe disappears. This is where I get left behind. This is unsafe. This is dangerous. This is about me. I'm not good enough. This is really personal. You need to really find your specific moments here. Like this, we are just general examples. And the better we find out what happened in our past, where our emotional experience was based on our trigger, the more we understand, okay, now we can disconnect from it. And maybe I can give you more micro examples to connect from this and other people as well. If you are listening to this, you can then maybe connect to your moment from the past, because the thing is we are always attached and then always trigger later to the same emotional experience from our past. So now if you are triggered by your partner's inconsistency, let's say you were raised on inconsistency when you were younger. So let's say you were 7 years old and you came home excited about something, but no one really listened because they were busy. Maybe they were busy with siblings or cooking or who knows, and you felt invisible. Now, when she's not replying your partner, even though she deeply loves you and maybe she's just really busy at work, that's the same thing that's being triggered here. So you're feeling ignored all over again, and the same core wound comes up. You're feeling ignored, you're feeling invisible all over again, and it has nothing to do with your partner. She might deeply love you and is committed to you, but because this old wound was created back then, now it's all coming back to surface, even though your subconscious mind or even though consciously you don't know this, that it's connected to the past. Or let's say your parents were very moody back then and you never really knew what kind of version you would get from them. Sometimes they were very anxious or snappy or aggressive maybe, and the other day they were very loving and caring depending on their mood. And now if your partner pauses or seems silent or distant, your brain screams, oh my god, this is exactly the same thing from the past. Something's wrong, and they're going to snap at me or they're going to disappear. Okay, maybe it's not the perfect example, but maybe you know what I mean. But here's the thing, your trigger is not the flaw, it's just the breadcrumbs to an old wound that needs your love now. Now it's important that you realize it's your part to heal, that it's amazing that your partner is loving and reassuring, that is amazing, but it's really important that you are now your inner parent and give you your love that you deserve. And some parts of you were maybe missing in childhood, like the inconsistencies. Maybe you were even sick, for example. My anxious attachment were built in my allergies and me being very hypersensitive to everything. Took rejection personal and was worried my mom would leave even if she maybe just went into another room. Everything was kind of a threat. So I personally had to learn to reassure myself, to validate myself more, instead of overly relying on other people to give this to me. Because no matter how many times I'm sure your partner told you everything's gonna be fine and she loves you, if you don't love yourself truly, if you don't believe in yourself and love yourself truly, doesn't matter how many times other people tell you this, you have to tell yourself this. So here are a few questions you maybe could also ask yourself. When was the first time I remember feeling like I was waiting for someone to respond to me? Or as a kid, what did I learn about love, or silence, or distance, or inconsistencies even? Was I allowed to express panic or sadness or confusion, or did I have to shut it down? Who did I have to be loved or noticed? What would I have needed to hear back then that I can say to myself now? And then you could say, depending on what's coming up for you, for example, you were never too much, you were too alone with it, or you didn't need to perform, you just needed love. Depending on, what core wounds and anxieties or fears really come up, you want to soothe that part and learn to tell yourself everything's gonna be okay, and literally talk to yourself like a parent would, like a loving and warm parent would, and do this consistently, not just once when you're anxious, but even in good moments. And this might be a little bit cringy at the beginning and you're like, okay, this is strange, like I'm a guy, I'm not doing this, but you can do it in secret. You don't have to do it out loud in front of other people, it doesn't matter. But we all need love and warmth and words of affirmation and physical touch and all of the love languages. And this is literally what we mean with inner work. You're not just healing your thoughts, you're healing the age where this belief was born. And you get to do this with 30, 40, 50, or even later on 60s, 70s. There's no age limit on that. You're not waiting for love anymore. You are learning how to give it to yourself, even when no one is replying. So what to do going forward? Let's create like a little action plan. So now that you understand maybe a little bit where this panic, anxiety, and overthinking and spiraling comes from. For example, you can tell yourself, this is my past and not my present. Maybe I wasn't safe back then when I was younger, but now rejection is safe. Abandonment is even safe. Silence is safe. You want to literally tell yourself that as a kid, rejection and abandonment is actually something that is unsafe. Kids need physical closeness and emotional closeness, and they need their parent consistently. They need warmth. But if this happens now in your current situation with your partner, if there's silence, if there's no reply for a day, even for a few weeks, even should someone betray you, the worst thing can happen that you go through emotions, through discomfort, and you can create a plan for this. We can learn to, self-soothe. We can learn to sit in the emotions. We can learn to process the emotions. We can learn all of these things, but it's not dangerous anymore. But usually we are able to take care of ourselves nowadays, and we also have a support system. I'm sure you have someone in your life to reach out to. May this be a family member or a friend. You can also reach out to me anytime. But we think still, because this emotional experience was so deep from our past, you always think, this is the worst thing that could happen. I could never cope with it if it happens. And we make it so much worse because we are wired for this. Belief is an automatic thought. We think over and over and over again that it feels so true. It feels so true that if someone doesn't reply to you within your expected time, that it feels so dangerous. And you make it mean about your self-worth, that you're not good enough, that it's dangerous. You jump 20 steps ahead of time about your future. and think the worst case scenarios. We want to create an action step on how to teach your nervous system that it's safe. And by telling yourself also that this moment is about the past, not about the present, you're disconnecting it from the present moment and realizing, hey, yeah, true. It's not about the delayed text. It's not about my girlfriend or partner. It's about when I was a baby, or when I was 3 years old or 7 years old, and you disconnect from this and you create distance to the emotion. So why logic alone is not enough? You already do something amazing, right? You self-soothe, you breathe, you rationalize everything. You tell yourself, I'm overreacting. But your nervous system's language is not words. Your nervous system doesn't speak logic. It's somatics in your body. And what feels safe isn't always what's true as well. So when you tell yourself, I'm being irrational, I'm, overreacting, you're kind of, and I'm saying this with so much love, invalidating the younger part of you that's actually terrified. It's kind of like saying, calm down, and to kid that is crying, and no one wants to be told to calm down, right? I hate when my partner sometimes tells me to calm down when I'm like, triggered about something. It's never nice. So it's not good when you tell yourself, calm down, or I'm overreacting. So it's really important how you speak to yourself as well, but also knowing it's not enough to just tell yourself things. So what can you do instead? And that's where I developed my 4R method, which is just putting everything into a system, into a 4-step system, how I healed my anxious attachment style, system by system, over and over again, with working through triggers on repeat, because healing an anxious attachment style can be a long process and a very complicated process because there's so many things involved. So I realized after my months of when I healed my anxious attachment style, I was like, what were the most important factors that were combined when I healed it. The emotions were an important part of it, my limiting beliefs, and working with my subconscious mind, and meeting my own needs first in different ways, and then the shadow part, really, the going into the deeper subconscious parts of it. Everything combined made out the 4R method. Let's start with the first step first. So the 4R method stands for release, rewire, reconnect, and reflect. So first is release your emotions. Let's start here, because before you can change your thoughts and rewire your beliefs or even feel secure again, you have to feel what's actually here, feel what's going on in your body. And we don't want to fix it, we don't want to fight the emotion, we just want to feel it and allow it to be there. So start by noticing what is happening in your body right now. Let's do a slow body scan to give you a little bit of an example how to sit with the emotion and to allow it to be there. You can just breathe slowly in, inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth, a longer exhale than the inhale, and just slow down in general. And you can ask yourself a few questions like, can you feel the weight in your chest? Is your stomach tight or buzzing or empty? Are your shoulders tense? Is your jaw clenched? Is the sensation sharp or dull? Hot or cold, prickly, pulsating, fast or slow? Does it feel heavy like a brick, light but maybe shaky? Because emotions is energy in motion. So we want to first locate it and notice how is the sensation. And we want to describe it with curiosity, like we have never noticed emotion before, like we have no idea what it actually is, like a researcher. Or I heard someone say once in Procrastio that you want to describe it like you want to explain it to like a Martian or like an alien with curiosity. And now you want to gently tell yourself like, something in me feels afraid. This is fear. You want to kind of label it, but not like I am anxious, I am this person, because this then will make you feel even more anxious and this will take control over you. You want to again add it with curiosity and more like from a distance. It's like, okay, this is a younger part of me that is being triggered, or I don't have to fix it right now. I just need to be with it. And if you maybe notice it's more in your chest or in your heart, you can put a hand on your heart. And it's such an underrated skill, but you can feel the warmth and the connection towards yourself. and you will maybe notice your heartbeat even. And the more you breathe into it, and the more you slow down your breathing, and the more you feel the connection to yourself and you allow the feeling to be there, the more you realize, hey, you know what, you got yourself, you have yourself here, and you can just sit and be with yourself, be with the emotion, and be with the anxious part of you that just feels unseen, hurt, scared. And in another episode, I will go into reparenting more and inner child work. I think that's very powerful. It's helped me a lot to be more empathetic and kinder towards myself. And it's so important that you allow the emotions to be and not to push it away, because the emotions have to move through the body. It only takes literally 90 seconds to 5 minutes, according to research, to fully sit with the emotions and to process it. However, if you push it away, if you reject it, if you label it as a bad emotion, if you think I can't feel this anxiety, I can't feel shame, and try to just distract yourself with it, or reply to your partner and just spiral and just ignore what's happening in your body, then it might go stronger and you take it away and throughout the entire day and weeks, even months, and then it can go stronger. And a lot of people are so scared of emotions because they're not fully sitting with it. Whenever I process an emotions nowadays, breathe into it, label it, and do the body scan, it disappears. It's very strange to explain it if you have never already done it before. And the goal is not even to make it disappear. Literally, the goal is just to be with the emotion. But the funny thing is, when you allow it to be there, it already disappears. It's like reverse psychology. You can then connect to a part of you and notice what he or whoever listens, she says. Like, a part of me feels like I'm about to be left. My chest feels tight. I think I'm in danger, or my breath is very shallow, like I can't catch it. I can feel panic in my stomach and it's twisting like a knot. Avoid saying I shouldn't feel this way, I'm ridiculous, I'm overreacting, I hate anxiety, it's scary. Because again, when you say these, you're shaming your emotional body, you're shaming your experience, you're shaming the younger part of yourself as well. Instead, labeling the emotion, talk to the part like it's scared. It's a scared child. It's a scared part of yourself that just needs presence and acceptance and love. So you can ask, am I allowing the emotion or am I pushing it away? Where in my body do I feel this most right now? If this feeling had a voice, what would it say? And this sounds very strange, but again, it's connecting you again to your needs as well. And you can reword the question how it feels less cringy maybe for you as well, if it's the first time you hear these questions. Like, what is this part afraid of right now? Or what age does this feeling feel like? So where does this memory first started? What would I say to this version of myself? And then step 2, you want to rewire your beliefs, your limiting beliefs for new beliefs. Okay, in the next sections, I'm going to do a little bit of a shorter summarized versions because I can't go into too much detail. So you want to ask yourself, what story am I telling myself? For example, let's say she hasn't replied and you're making it mean she's not in love with you anymore. Here you really want to question all the thoughts, all the stories, all your limiting beliefs that come up in that moment after the emotional stuff. Because when you're emotional, you can't think clear and you can't rationalize. So after you have, regulated your nervous system, maybe an hour later, you want to do this work. So you want to find the limiting belief, the story you have made up about the fact, about the thing that why she hasn't replied, and then you want to challenge this in all the ways you can do. For example, is this true? Is this really true? What are all the facts that I know it's true? What is the counter evidence for this? Or is this maybe just familiar? Is this what I want to believe? Is this what my anxious attachment tells me is true? Because if we have a limiting belief of people will always leave, I'm unsafe, I'm not good enough, we will always find evidence for this. So what you will also want to do is want to find counter evidence why this is not true, even more important. And then you can say, instead of trying she hasn't replied back yet, you might want to say, that doesn't mean anything about my worth. Her love for me hasn't changed because my anxiety is loud. This might be just me using emotional reasoning, which is a cognitive distortion, as a way to explain my conclusions here. Or her love for me hasn't changed. And this isn't about forcing fake positivity. It's about teaching your brain a new default way. You can ask yourself, what did I learn about love growing up that might be still running the show here? And then step 3 is connect with yourself, with your unmet needs from your childhood. So what do I need right now? What could I tend to self-soothe in a loving way? Maybe that's all you need, like connecting with yourself. Maybe what you actually need is to go outside. Maybe you need to move with your body, because that is a very powerful thing as well. Instead of overthinking, you want to actually move your body. Lots of times we're trying to solve the problem by thinking your way out of it, and you won't find the answer in your head. You have to take action, meaning with your body. So going outside, moving your body, listening to music, telling yourself the things you wish to hear from your partner. These are all very actionable, perfect, amazing things you can do, but don't sit there trying to find reasons or overthinking the situation. Take action. Even have a shower, go dancing, talk to your friends, go work out, something like this. Now let's go a little bit deeper. When a trigger like this happens, a part of you is experiencing an unmet need. So let's find out what this exactly is if you want to take action based on that unmet need. So I like to use the framework from Tony Robbins based on the 6 human core needs that are certainty, significance, love and connection, growth, contribution, and variety. Variety is also uncertainty. So if your trigger is silence, maybe what's actually being activated is your need for certainty, for example. Certainty could mean for you emotional safety, consistency, or your need could be significance, feeling like you matter. When you don't meet these needs for yourself and don't even know what your unmet need actually is, your subconscious mind will always try to meet it in the fastest way, even if you don't know that's actually happening. So even if it's through overthinking and spiraling. So if your need is certainty, you overthink and you have to find the problem, for example, or you force your partner to make a commitment to get married, even though maybe that's not what they need. Maybe their unmet need is, or their main priority need is variety and uncertainty, and they're making it mean they're really like freedom and choice. So you have 2 clashing needs and priorities. So it's really important to figure out what is your main need and your driver and your relationships and behind all your actions, and what's also your partners. Then how can you meet yourself in the middle here, so we don't show up in sabotaging ways like overthinking, spiraling, being clingy in air quotes, and so on. And this is where healing anxious attachment really begins, learning you are capable of meeting your own needs, meeting your emotional needs especially. And ask yourself, what needs feel unmet right now? What need is behind this pattern, this trigger of when my partner is quiet for a few hours or even minutes? What do I actually need here? And how then can I give this to myself first? Then maybe through other resources. And then how can I meet this more in my relationship, maybe through communication, maybe through compromise. For example, maybe you could ask your partner to check in with you after, let's say, 6 hours of no contact, maybe once a day. I don't know how long the distance is between you. For example, my partner and we don't have any rules on that. Usually I'm still the first who's reaching out overall, but he's at work, so he's very busy, and I'm more the one at home who easily seeks out the connection when something is happening, or just when I feel like it. But I don't make it mean anything about me or that he doesn't care. I just know he's busy with his projects, but also usually he does reply within, say, an hour or so he's very consistent as well. And when he doesn't reply to me either at all during the day, I know he was very busy at work and stressed. But if it would become a pattern, and if he would never reply to me or consistently not reply to me, then I would definitely address this, because a relationship should be based on consistencies as well. And then the last step of the pattern, step 4, which is where we go even deeper. This might be a little bit too much right now, but I want to point towards the next steps that might be very interesting here as well, which is again more awareness that is reflecting on your shadow parts. This is the mirror aspect in our triggers and really understanding what are the triggers revealing in ourselves, what we see in other people. So you could ask yourself here, what version of me is reacting right now? Is it the 53-year-old me or the 5-year-old me who didn't feel safe? Triggers are mirrors. So if you feel triggered by not getting a reply, ask yourself, what's the trait or energy that's hurting me most here? Maybe the trigger that is being most activated here is being ignored or dismissed or disrespected. And then you can ask yourself, how am I doing this to myself? How am I maybe ignoring my own needs or emotions? How am I dismissing myself? How am I disrespecting myself somehow? Because often we will find somehow we're doing the same things to ourselves. And that's actually an unhealed part of ourselves. And if we then love this part, give that part what it actually needs, acceptance, attention, then the trigger becomes less than other people. Shadow work is literally like inner child work as well, reparenting. This is the depth of where I go with my one-on-one clients, but naming this piece already and putting attention towards it is already a first step. So for now, like a mini action plan you can do is, first of all, you can start with a 4R method, which is already a huge action plan. You can also start like a truth folder on your phone, like screenshots of loving messages, things your partner said, photos, and journal things. You can even write yourself notes on your phone, however you prefer the most. It's most powerful if you do it manually, like with a pen and paper. However, you can start however you want to, or even leaving yourself voice messages and finding really moments of evidence why your partner loves you, even though there's distance, to really train your nervous system that you are safe, even when there's space. And then the second step is you can also do is like track whenever you're anxious and spiraling and overthinking. You want to write down your trigger, then what your thoughts or limiting beliefs are when this happened, realizing it's not the trigger, creating then your emotions as your thoughts. So first write down the trigger, the circumstance, then the limiting beliefs and the thoughts you have about the trigger, then the emotions that you're having when you have this thought and the belief, and then the actions you do. Let's say you feel anxious or insecure or whatever emotion you're having in the moment, and then you're ruminating. You're finding all of the reasons in your head why your partner doesn't love you or might leave you or is not into you. Then you're not doing something for yourself. You're not going for a walk. You're not connecting with friends. All of the things you're not doing maybe in the moment as well, how it's impacting you. And then how are your behaviors then or your action steps creating your results. Results could be creating disconnection in your relationship, creating distrust. You're not trusting your partner basically, right? Because of these action steps and your beliefs and your emotions. And you're creating more anxiety for yourself. And maybe you also have physical or mental health impacts for yourself. Like when I had an anxious attachment style, I'm still having physical consequences based on that, I had an anxious attachment style for around 30 years. When I then had chronic migraines and had this huge migraine attack that lasted a couple of weeks, 6-7 weeks, nearly, over a month, I literally had like silent migraine where I couldn't see properly and I thought I was losing my eyesight. I'm still taking medication for that, and actually yesterday was the first day in a long time when I actually didn't really feel good. There was like pressure behind my eyes and I just didn't feel great, even though I'm on preventative medication, and which is really helping me not getting attacks anymore. And for me, it's also hormonal based. So every month I'm getting stronger symptoms. But like this is also really I think, really based on anxious attachment style, because if you're stressed, if you're anxious, if you're overthinking, if you're not regulating yourself, if you're always living in survival mode, it will impact your body eventually. Your emotions are stuck in your body, and we all know that our mind and body, everything's connected. And so I really want you to take care of yourself, and I don't wish this on anybody, that you have long-term physical health impacts about this, no matter if it's sleep problems or mental health problems or physical health problems or digestive problems. I have also bladder issues based on my anxiety, which I'm also still struggling with. So everything's very long term. Yeah, but it's so possible to at least find ways to not have the anxiety as much anymore, to cope with it. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it wasn't too much of a rumble. Please let me know in the YouTube comments how that landed. Anyone who wants as well help, feel free to respond under this YouTube comment or reply via email. I'm so happy to help you out as well and go deeper with anything. So, by the way, if you want to work one-on-one with me and heal your anxious attachment style, check out my 4 or 8 month coaching program in the anxious attachment library. Together you find all my offers. You can also hop on a free call with me where I like to go deeper with you to really check out if you are a good fit for this as well, because I only offer this to really people who are a great match, to not waste your time and to really make sure this is the right container for you and the right step. Because if you rather need therapy, I rather advise you to go this route. I also have a text and talk offer, which is actually extremely popular at the moment. So I only have 1 or 2 more spots open for next month, this month not anymore, which is basically like a WhatsApp coaching space. Super flexible, super convenient, talk back and forth. I also can send you some videos of me talking through certain steps and send you lots of documents, guides and step-by-step guides with my frameworks. I'll drop them off into the Google Drive folder, action steps for you, so you can work on your monthly goals and become more secure step by step, and also where I help you through your weekly challenges. Plus, I have also much more accessible mini courses right now, especially based on the topic today. I have the Stop Overthinking Your Relationship with Your Avoidant Partner in 4 steps mini course, which is basically the 4R method, just more detailed. If you are in your head about what if, this mini course is really for you. It's just €47, right? Everything is an attachment library, and there's also free resources. Thank you so much for being with me today. I'm so happy you're on this journey. And remember, change in your relationship starts with you, thought by thought, action by action, now episode by episode. Lots of love, Hula, bye bye.